argument show.
A shift.
The argument show. That's
We should reprise the argument of Wesley Crusher versus Snarf.
the eternal question.
The eternal question.
Which one's worse? Which one's worse?
Which one's the more annoying character?
Which one's the more annoying character?
I don't know. I'm gonna have to say Snarf.
Okay, let's think about it. Thundercats, at the end of the day, it's not really that good. Next Gen is very good. Okay? He's a really bad character in a good thing. Snarf is a really bad character in kind of an okay thing. So to me, now on a totally objective level, maybe Snarf's more annoying. I'll maybe give you that. Okay? But they also never had Snarf save the day and shit.
Yeah, they did. Like every episode, Snarf saved the fucking day.
Yeah.
Every single episode?
Not every single episode.
He had his episodes.
He did it a lot.
He had his
season,
episodes.
he saved the day every fucking episode.
Yeah.
Like
Wesley, yeah.
Yeah, it'd be like Picard was like wrong the whole fucking time, and like he'd be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, Wesley," you know, and I'd be like,
"Shut up, Wesley!"
Yeah, and I'd be like, "Man, like you're making Picard look like a fool."
It wasn't every episode of the first season.
No,
I'm gonna have to say.
It really was because he is a Mary Sue for
Roddenberry?
Yes, his Gene Roddenberry's middle name is Wesley. So he's like a super hardcore Mary Sue for him. So it's always like, I don't know. I remember this one episode that pissed me off where like Wesley caused the problem and then solved it, and everyone was like, "Oh, Wesley, you're the best." And I'm like,
wasn't that the one?
In the first place.
Yeah, wasn't that the one where he fell asleep and his science experiment like created something wrong with the warp drive or something like that?
Was that the one where they all got drunk? The other one.
Oh, that's another one. I don't think that was caused by him falling asleep. I do think that Wesley did cause that one as well. There's also the one where he locked up a force field in front of the.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, that's the one where he fell asleep, I thought.
I thought that was the one where they got drunk and that he was just like drunkenly refusing to pull the force field.
Yes. Yes.
Because I watched that.
Oh, are those the two the same episode?
No. He was like he put up the force field and was like drunkenly refusing to take it down, so they couldn't fix the warp core.
Yep.
And then he like did it at the end of the episode, and everyone's like, "Yeah, Wesley." And I was like, if he had just turned off the fucking thing at the beginning, none of this would have happened.
Yeah.
Fuck him. God, I hate the fucking character. He sucks so much balls. No, I think there is one where he goes to sleep, though.
Yeah. I mean, I guess they are two different episodes, but yeah, he falls asleep and
that's
then
not the Data Lore one,
breaks
is it?
everything.
That's
no,
not the first Lore
that's-
episode, because
no.
he's a fucking asshole in that one, too.
Yeah.
Because, like, Picard, like, thinks he's wrong the whole episode, or he knows something Picard doesn't, and Picard looks like a fucking moron at the end of it, because he was, like, wrong the whole time. Patrick Stewart, dude. You can't make Patrick Stewart look like a fucking idiot.
Plus you're Will Wheaton, apparently.
I like Will Wheaton is cool, too.
He is.
It's a bummer.
It's a bummer, he's cool.
Punch him in the fucking face.
Because you now have to punch him in the fucking face and then apologize so he'll hang out with you.
Will Wheaton. You're really ruining the first season of Star Trek. And then punch him in the face. And I'd be like,
Let's have a...
Let's hang out. We're friends now. You know, like, I bet that happens a lot to him, though. I bet people punch him in the face and like, I'm sorry, dude. And then they just become friends after.
That's the course of nature.
The life of Will Wheaton. Day in the life.
It's the course of nature.
Season 1 of TNG sucks balls.
Yeah, I will agree with that.
We were actually talking about that earlier, too. It was like, because we were talking about, differences in opinion on Star Trek, and I was like, probably the best Star Trek to, like, if you've never, like, actually seen any of it, is, like, the 4th or 5th season of Next Generation.
Yeah.
And we were like, yeah, Wesley just ruined the whole, like, first 3 seasons.
Because the first season is both negative, has him the most in it, and then also just is not very good.
Yeah, there's a number of plot lines in the first season.
Yeah, and then
it's very confusing.
The second season is sort of like they just went, you know what, we should make a good show, and then they just started doing it.
Yeah,
now, it still has Wesley in it, but not as much. That one has the Measure of Man episode with Data, where he's like Is he a person? Which is really good.
Yeah, the one where Picard argues for his favor
Yeah,
in front of like a court of people and actually starts getting the ball rolling for androids to be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a great episode.
It is very good.
Season 3 has what in it? I don't remember. That one's good too, though.
There's one I can't remember though. Is which episode is when he's being tortured by the Romulan
That's like
in the Four Lights?
6.
Because that's my favorite. That's my favorite.
Chain of Command, part 1 and 2, man.
Yes.
That-
So it's
that
part 2 that. Yeah.
No, there are 4 lights. Yeah. There are 4 lights.
What does that mean? What's the context?
There's like
So there's a Romulan. Okay. The context
Oh,
of
he's trying. He's
it's a
trying
two-part
to,
episode.
Like make him comprehend a paradox or something.
no,
He's trying to
it's
torture
actually
him.
Cardassian, which are those
Cardassian, yeah.
Cardassian or Cardassian, whatever the fuck they are, the lizard people. It's like this torture technique or whatever,
Yes.
where they're like he had 4 lights and he's like there are 5 lights. You know, there are 4 lights, and then whenever he said there are 4 lights, he would punish him or shock him or whatever, and he was like there are 5 lights.
Yeah.
And it was trying to
basically
break him
breaking-
down. Well, yeah,
Breaking him with logical paradoxes.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, trying to make him malleable to the.
statement's false.
Yes, trying to make him malleable to the point where it doesn't matter to him what the truth is.
Yeah.
Because to Picard, the truth is there's 4 lights, and what the Romulan.
Wait, he was.
I've been saying Romulan the whole
torturing
time. Cardassian.
Picard?
Yeah.
I
Yes.
thought he was torturing Data. Okay.
No, Picard. He was torturing him to accept a false statement, so that it
That's
would
true.
break him as a man. Like he would no longer be able to reason.
Because the first part's pretty good, but the second part's really good. That's
Yeah.
with all the that's where Picard gets tortured the whole fucking episode.
Yes, because the first episode, like right at the end of it's when he gets captured.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Season 3 does that have Best of Both Worlds Part 1? Is that the finale of 3?
That's 4. See, the finale of 4 and beginning of 5.
Is it? Because I thought
Pretty sure.
I thought
You thought it was end of 3, beginning of 4?
I thought so.
It's one or the other.
Because
But-
4's really good.
Yeah.
4 has those two and then Family, which is the one afterwards, which is actually really underappreciated kind of conclusion.
Which
to the whole Borg business.
Which one has? And I don't remember the name of the episode, but where it's like thousands of enterprises come
Oh, I
through
love
a
that
space
one, dude.
rift with Worf coming out of a space shuttle.
My
It's-
favorite one is the Borg universe one with Crazy Beard.
Yes,
Riker.
crazy, right? You don't know what it's like back here. And he starts firing on the real Enterprise, and then the Enterprise blows him up.
Crazy Riker.
Crazy bearded Riker.
Have you not seen that one?
No.
It's amazing.
Oh, that one's called. That one is called.
It's not Yesterday's Enterprise, because that's the one with the
No,
Enterprise
that's
C.
that's no. Okay, yes. There's Yesterday's Enterprise. That one is called Parallels. That's the Worf episode.
Yes, Parallels is the
Yeah,
one.
that one. That one has Worf like flipping in between different.
Yeah,
Quantum.
and Guinan's like, you're not supposed to be here.
Both Worlds is 3 and 4.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, that one has because at first I thought it was yesterday.
because this is the one where it's like it's 2 separate enterprises are on like a collision course in separate universes somehow, and they
That's
can't
a different
see
one.
each
That
other.
is a different episode.
That's a different
Okay.
one.
There's an episode where they have literally hundreds of enterprises in the same
On
place.
screen.
That's
Yeah.
that's Parallels.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the
Yes,
Worf episode.
and they have to deal with. I don't even remember what that happens. But they have to deal with like.
Worf has to get back to the right timeline.
Yeah,
And he sends gets
the
in.
Crazy Riker.
They blow
I
up
love that one.
Because he was firing on Worf to make sure he couldn't actually fix the timelines.
Yeah, because he didn't want to be in the Borg timeline anymore. It was just him and then another Worf in the background, like everybody else is dead and shit.
Well, like this is interesting to me. Like they killed the Riker Enterprise, but because Worf went back in time, Riker's back alive in the right timeline.
Poor Crazy Riker. He's my favorite character is Crazy Riker.
So was the premise of that timeline or whatever that the Borg had just taken over?
That was that.
They had the people on the run. Like they hadn't quite taken over yet, and that's why the
They
Enterprise
had
was
like
still
destroyed the
around.
Federation.
Yes.
Like not everyone was dead, obviously, because Crazy Riker, but apparently it was pretty shitty. It was
Yeah.
like, you know.
Yeah, like just constantly living on
Only the
Are you,
yeah.
Are you thinking about the final episode, All Good Things? Because that's what that's about. It is 3 different
Yeah, 'cause
enterprises and 3 different timelines.
But they're on a collision course.
Yeah, and they're all on a collision course, and it keeps going like young Picard, middle-aged Picard, old Picard.
That is all good things.
Okay.
Yeah, All Good Things is an amazing episode.
That's actually
probably
really
one of
good finale.
yes, probably the best finale to a TV show that I am aware of myself.
Yeah, it's actually quite good. I mean, usually finales aren't that great because it's sort of like, oh,
The end.
yeah, that one, but that one also doesn't go like it's the end forever. Like it doesn't blow everything
No,
up
no.
or anything. It's just a really good episode of the show.
Yeah,
Because there's also yesterday's Enterprise.
From Freakazoid.
that's true. That is a very good last
It's a
episode.
very good Freakazoid
That
episode.
is
It just
actually-
happens to be the last
It's
one.
actually a really good last episode as well. Yeah, there's also like a really good Freakazoid episode that just happens to be the last one.
But probably my second favorite TNG episode is the one where they encounter a Romulan. Who is it on who's on the shuttle? I think it's Picard and Data and one other person are on a shuttle coming back from they were at a talk at a convention or whatever.
They went to a Star Trek convention. They went to Star Trek.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, they came back. And
from the 700th annual Dragon Con.
they were supposed to meet the Enterprise somewhere. They didn't meet them. So they track them down. Once they find them, the Enterprise is actually locked up in time with a Romulan, and they're both fired. Like something like you see is like the Romulan was shooting at them, but it wasn't really shooting at them. And the Enterprise was trying to help them,
Yeah,
and they have to figure out what's going
I
on.
do know isn't it like a. It's not a Groundhog Day style thing, right? They're just locked in time, and they have to
Yeah.
figure out what the fuck's going on. I don't remember what that one's called.
I don't
I
need
I
to.
like that they just made shit up for this show. Like, it was in the period where, like, people didn't really care about the scientific mumbo-jumbo behind it. It was just like, yeah, time stopped for some stupid
some
fucking
fucking
reason.
Well, they explain it with the technobabble.
Is this the
Yeah.
one
Techno
I'm pretty
that
sure
Warp Core calls it?
the Romulan, warp core, because it's not actually a warp core. It's technically a black hole. I can't remember what they call it, but it's technically a black hole. And they had used something illegal to power it.
Yeah.
And that's what caused it when... because their reactor was going down or something, and I can't remember if it was supposed to be a ploy or if it was legitimately happening, and the Enterprise comes...
I think there was some kind
to
of
help them.
misunderstanding,
Yes.
as I recall.
Because the Enterprise tries, linking up with the ship, and that's what causes time to stop.
There's at least 24 classic episodes of that show. I'm fairly certain.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's there's lots of good ones. There's Tapestry, the one with Q where he shows Picard his whole
yeah.
life. There's Die Hard Picard, which
Die
is
Hard
legitimately it's
Picard.
just Die Hard but with Picard in it. it's just no one's in the Enterprise and it's just him crawling through vents and shit because there's
That's right.
terrorists in it or some shit. It's pretty sweet.
I really love the TNG, and it's probably obviously the best Star Trek of the Next Generation set. Next Generation, Voyager, and Deep Space Nine. However, I've always said this: Deep Space Nine is, Voyager is my favorite and probably the craziest of the Star Treks. And they did some crazy stuff in that
Much
one.
techno-babble.
I always liked the episode of Voyager where they hit warp 10 and then turn into lizards.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then Janeway and Ensign Kim
Turned
have
into, like, spiders? Or
no, they turn into these big lizard creatures and actually have sex and have a baby.
yeah.
I think it's Paris. Is the
Is it
other
Paris?
Lizard. Yeah. Then they
I thought it was
have sex
Kim,
and
but
have
yeah.
babies, and then no one ever mentions it again.
And then they fix it. And then that episode makes no sense.
That is I think you generally consider the worst episode of Star Trek ever
Right.
made.
I
across
love
any of them.
this is why I love Voyager is because it did so much this is why people hate it is why I love it because
Voyager
it's
was
so stupid. But one of the other cool things, and I actually think this is legitimately cool as the franchise of Voyager, is that you aren't actually sure if the real Voyager is the real Voyager in the end, because the Voyager actually gets destroyed quite a few times over the course of the
Yeah,
series.
I remember that. They just, run into planets a
Yeah,
couple of times.
that's my favorite way that Voyager gets destroyed. They attempt to break Warp 10 again. Safely this time with Ensign Kim in a shuttlecraft at the
Yes,
front
that's
of
the whole episode.
Voyager. And then, according to something happens. Ensign Kim thinks he made a mistake, but it really wasn't him at the end of the episode. But
It was
anyway,
him and Chakotay, I think.
Yes.
in the thing.
And they actually achieve warp 10, but something happens where Voyager drifts out, and they're going so fast that they just slam into an ice planet, and everybody dies, and Voyager's frozen.
Yeah, and then it's about those two like finding their way into an alternate universe where everyone's alive again.
Well, they get back to
programmed
Earth.
Something into 7 and 9's head, like some kind of quantum chip bullshit that actually
Yes.
sends her a message back through time not to do the shit.
Because Ensign Kim and Chakotay actually make it back to Earth, and are there for like 20 years or something, and then steal...
the ship and go back.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
like the propulsion of the Voyager and it crashes, but it like slingshots them back to Earth and they're for like 20 years. Or,
Yeah.
Voyager did love its reset button episodes. Do you remember the one where Red blew the? It was Red from that '70s show, and he was the bad guy.
Yes.
And then like at the end, Janeway drove the Voyager into their ship, and then that exploded that way as well, and then they just hit the reset button at the end of it, and we're like, it's okay now, or something.
Yeah, wasn't he like has something to do with? He was one of the aliens that they met along the way, like, right? I can't remember, but yeah, he was. There's another one where they all get turned into copycat creatures, and they're all clay creatures for like 5 episodes, and you don't know that. And then like I love that
shit that like becomes like it becomes them.
Yes.
And that's like a minor plot point in an earlier episode. But then there's just an episode where it's them, like the copycat guys, but you don't know that. And then at the end, they all just melt into.
And that
like
I love
goo.
because it implies that every episode between those two was just the copycat crew. Like none of that. I love this. I love Voyager. Voyager's my favorite Star Trek. It just you said like the Next Generation didn't give any shit about science stuff. Voyager just wrote the book on that.
Because Voyager had the most technobabble out of anyone, but they needed it to explain the absolute batshit insanity that was occurring on a week-to-week basis. Because you were talking about the spiders. There is actually a random episode of TNG where someone puts gas into the thing that de-evolves everyone.
That's what
and
it was.
one guy just turns into a spider. Which
Yeah,
doesn't make any
he
sense.
looked like a human, but supposedly he wasn't. He was
Right.
an alien that evolved from a spider-type creature.
Yeah.
So yeah, he just turned into a giant spider.
Somebody asked someone that at a convention why he turned into a spider. And he said that he gave that explanation. Someone was
Why
like,
did he
in
turn
that episode, why did you turn into a fucking spider? That's a question someone asked.
That's an excellent question. He actually was a human and evolved from a spider.
Like, that guy just knew. He was just like, yeah, bullshit.
Oh,
I wanted a giant spider in the show. Didn't even think about it. Because, like, Worf turned into that Klingon beast thing. It was
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. That was weird. I think that's a 7th season episode. Possibly. There's an episode where they all turn to kids. Do you remember that one?
Yes.
That was classic,
yes.
dude. He's my number one dad. God, I love that episode. Because like his bad guys
I want to
are,
like.
he's like the bad guys are on the ship. And
Yes.
like, not everyone's kids. Like Picard's a kid, and then
Some of them de-age faster than others, and I can't remember why.
I think it's just like 3 random characters and then Picard.
Yeah.
And so like, but they're not. The bad guys can't know that that's Picard for some reason. That
Yeah.
He's like a kid now or something. So he's like they're in the fucking school or preschool or whatever the fuck it is. And he's like, I want to see my daddy or whatever, like some ruse to get Riker into the room.
Yeah.
And then they come up with a plan, and the guys are standing there like with their guns or whatever, and he's like, all right, make it so, number one, or something, and they turn and look at him, he's like, my number one dad. He's amazing. That's like the stupidest
Oh,
thing.
we need to like marathon some Star Trek episodes now.
some greatest hits.
We need to do that.
I always like because like you were saying, I like the really legitimately good episodes. I like a lot of batshit ones too.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they're all kids now. I don't know.
Because the thing about the batshit episodes is they also take themselves seriously. Like, you're supposed to be taking this seriously.
I mean, you remember them though.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure there are plenty of episodes of Team G where it was just some bullshit, and I was just like, okay,
Yeah.
like, next one or whatever. But I remember the one where they all got turned into kids. I remember the one where Q sent them back and they reenacted Robin Hood.
Yeah.
I always loved the going back in time ones because they didn't make any sense because half the time they were in like a computer simulation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they love that holodeck. They did all kinds of dumb
Well,
shit.
but it's just I
with
remember there was one in the
Deep
original
Space Nine
series.
loved the holodeck.
In the original series where they went to a planet that existed. I thought it was a planet that existed in like the 1940s.
I remember there was one where they.
Yeah.
I remember there was. Yes.
It was like
there
just
was-
the Earth 1940s.
Yeah,
They did
that's the
another
next
one where it was
generation.
just American Revolution, but it was a planet too.
Yeah.
But they also did one where it was like gangsters and shit. And I was
Yeah,
just
the
like,
Casino Royale episode is the one.
Yeah.
They thought like they were getting hunted by government officials who thought they were like Nazis the whole time or something.
Yeah.
There was Nazi planet too. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
just like a planet where it's just Nazis for some fucking reason. I thought the stupid one was with the 1940s one. I thought like somebody dropped a book that
Yep.
was about gangsters or something,
And then
they found it,
aliens.
and they-
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
based their whole planet and culture off of this one book or some stupid
Yeah.
shit.
And it was actually like one of
Prime
the worst
Directive,
books.
dude.
That's
Yeah.
probably why they introduced the holodeck, so they didn't have to keep coming up with stupid things like that in order to like do an episode with Nazis in it or something like that.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, there's Dick Tracy, Patrick Stewart.
Yeah. What is his name? Do you remember what his name is?
Can't.
It's
I
a
can't.
fucking. It's the noir detective.
Yeah.
And there's a couple episodes where he's Dick. No, it's not Dick Tracy. It's,
No, I just said Dick Tracy because
Right, but it's similar.
yeah.
Because in First
private
Contact,
eye.
he goes back in to there's like a little like reference back to those episodes where he like goes in and that's when he mows down the board with a Tommy gun.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that part. Part
There's
rules.
there's the Data ones where he's doing Sherlock Holmes, and LaForge is Watson. Why?
Because there's a one where Q just constructs Robin Hood and just makes them
Yeah,
do it.
yeah.
Because they do that with Q episodes where it's just some stupid shit like
Well, there's the
here's
one.
Q episode and he's just like does some dumb shit.
There's
like,
the one where there's like alien monsters and like French Revolution costumes that Q set them up. That's a first season episode actually.
oh yeah, yeah. Like I love that fucking Robin Hood one. That one rules. That's the one where who is Worf? I forget who he is, but he's wearing a stupid orange hat. And like,
Because
Little John or something?
no, he wasn't Little John.
Data is Friar Tuck.
Yeah.
And
I
Picard
think,
is
I think Riker's Little John.
yeah, I think.
Okay.
Must be John Little. That's what he says.
John.
Yeah.
John
And
Little.
Picard is Robin Hood, right?
Right, yeah.
And then like his love interest was the girl that he was trying to save or whatever.
Yeah, there was some weird thing. But there's the part where Geordi's playing the lute, and then Worf grabs it and
smashes
smashes it
it.
against a tree.
Yeah, and then gives it back to him.
Pulls the fucking Animal House on him, and then he goes, sorry. I always love random ones like Data has a girlfriend, like that's an episode or whatever, or
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I always like those random
Data and
stupid
his cat, dude.
I feed him.
The Lord.
I love Worfisms, like those Worf one-liners. I do not swim. It's too similar to bathing.
I like
It's classic.
Death to the Opposition is what he said when he played baseball in Deep Space Nine.
Yeah. Oh, the one where they play
the
baseball in Deep Space Nine. That's an episode. They just play fucking baseball.
Yep. Against a bunch of Vulcans.
Death to the opposition.
Yes.
Worf rules.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so bad.
Deep Space Nine is awful.
Wasn't that the one we were watching when I visited you guys in
Probably.
Savannah? that
Richard
one time?
loves Deep Space Nine. I don't get it. Like
Well,
it's
'cause that-
fine,
well,
but
which captain is in Deep Space Nine?
Cisco.
he's technically not a
Yeah.
captain until like the fourth season. But it's
But no,
Cisco.
yeah, it's the
Cisco's
black
the
guy.
main
He was also sometimes would write episodes. I
Yes,
believe.
Avery
Yeah,
Brooks is the guy.
Yeah, he was bad. Because I remember we watched like the one episode we watched while I was there was an Avery Brooks episode. I was like, this is just
Yeah. His episodes are
god-awful.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah, I know you never liked Avery Brooks. Avery Brooks switches between being really hammy and like.
I mean, I
He can
don't
be,
mind
like,
him,
Avery
but
Brooks
he's
is
just not very
powerful,
good.
Though, to me, you've seen I think a lot more Deep Space Nine than I have, but
I've seen it through at least twice.
yeah, because like I've seen like In the Pale Moonlight or some of that stuff from like, that thing where they were fighting the Kardashians or whatever the fuck they were doing.
Yeah.
The Kardashian.
I'm never referring it to Cardassians as anything else ever.
Yeah, that's why I call them Cardassians.
Yeah, Cardassians.
But like some of that stuff is actually really good. Like, there's some legitimately really good stuff in Deep Space Nine.
There are, and they were not written by Avery Brooks.
I saw an episode by Avery Brooks that I did like. It
Yeah.
was one where he kept switching between himself and a science fiction writer in the 40s.
Yes.
That's an Avery Brooks episode.
Avery Brooks pretty much wrote every episode where he dealt with the gods in the portal, and that's one of the ones where he deals with the gods in the portal. Pretty much anything with that as storyline as part of it was him writing it. Which, to be honest, that storyline is interesting, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because it's different from anything else Star Trek has done. And that's another thing about Deep Space Nine is it's different from anything Star Trek's ever done because it's a stationary story rather than
Right.
exploratory.
I like, from what I've seen, I like Deep Space Nine a lot. And I like that they just made...
It's good. It's fun to watch. But I just like Voyager and...
Voyager more, I mean, to be totally honest.
I
but
just... Voyager...
just
Like,
not
if you every
it's been
episode
an
of that...
Enterprise. Like,
Every episode of
But Enterprise could have been so
of
good.
Voyager is
Just
just
getting
crazy.
Season 4 of Enterprise was
Yeah.
good. Yeah, of course it got good once they just officially canceled it. And then now it's like, of course.
Yeah.
Because it's so dull before that. And then season 4,
Yes,
there's
it
like
is.
life in season 4, and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
it looks like it's starting to get good.
They're
and then,
finally getting somewhere.
yeah. Ugh, God, Enterprise, what the fuck? That finale is balls. You seen a finale in Enterprise? It is
Once.
ass.
I've actually not watched Enterprise through before, so
I've
I've
just
not
all
seen
of
it.
Enterprise randomly. It's
I've seen most of it, I think.
because haven't you? Matt's a big Enterprise fan, aren't you, Matt?
Very
big. Haven't you seen the last episode, or did I just tell you about it?
Is it?
Thank you.
What is it again? Because I do think I saw it.
It takes place. It's framed with Riker viewing it
Yeah.
in a holodeck.
That's right. That's right.
What?
The
The
final
finale
Of
of Enterprise is Riker reliving that moment in the holodeck.
Yep.
What?
It's Riker reliving Archer's promotion to Admiral, isn't it?
I think so. Something like
So
that.
it's like
Or like the final mission of the original Enterprise, or something like kind of.
It's I'm pretty sure it's his promotion to Admiral, and the weird thing about it to me was that I was pretty sure that like the episode that was second to last had nothing to do with the finale,
No,
and that they jumped like 10 years ahead
Yes.
They
because they realized that it was getting canceled or whatever. But then they picked Archer's like ascension to Admiral or whatever as viewed by Riker as the finale.
But because it was holodeck, the story just jumped because it was framed.
Yeah.
So it just kind of hopped around all over the place. One of the characters just died randomly, and they were just like, "He's dead. Okay, move on." Like, it was really bad. It's definitely the worst finale. I think I've seen all of the finales at least. I know I've seen Deep Space Nine's. I think I've seen Voyager's.
Voyagers is kind of the same situation as Enterprise, except they actually framed it better.
Yeah.
Like, they actually explain why so much time has passed in between. Because that one, I don't know, Voyager didn't get canceled, but I don't,
It was finished.
yeah,
They ran the seven.
I think they just, yeah, I think they just wanted to finish it, and they weren't, in terms of the chronological parts of the episode, weren't technically
They
close to
pulled the,
Earth.
Chakotay 7 of 9 romance out of their ass.
Yeah.
Just for one episode, they were like romantically involved or something, like just in that episode,
Right.
Like just kind of.
With Voyager, like the one episode I remember of that is like when like because the Doctor was like a hologram in that one.
Yes.
Yes.
And it was like 400 years in the future.
And he was in a museum.
And he was in a museum.
Yes.
Yeah. Was
Yeah.
that the finale, or was that just an episode?
That's just an episode. See, I love I love Voyager because he just got left. That's actually technically spoilers is a copy of the Doctor, but
Yeah.
That's probably what Voyager was. Is just like all the other Star Treks. There was a trash can in the corner of the
Where
room,
somebody
writing
was
room,
like,
where all
"That's
of the
stupid."
ideas where somebody was just like, "That's never gonna work." Toss it in the can. So then they just grabbed that can and it became Voyager.
that would not surprise me.
Get to work.
Get to work.
It feels like that sometimes, where it's just like,
So all
None
the
of,
papers
like-
in this can need to go into the ship.
It's-
you got 7 seasons of shit. We're right here.
Here's a handful of episodes.
Because they did, because it was they did the same thing, and I thought there were a couple episodes. Star Trek did the thing, and Doctor Who did this. I don't think they do it anymore. Where you could just send them a script and they look at it, and if they liked it, they just film it. Like they took.
That's actually most shows, if they're union shows, like the Screenwriters Guild, for television, like even Simpsons does it, where I think it's like 3 of their episodes has to be written by somebody who isn't like staff or who is new.
Yeah.
So most shows will have like 3 episodes that are written by people not related to the show.
Yeah. I thought that was interesting. Because like I don't remember what specific ones. Usually they're bad. If I recall.
I mean,
Yesterday's Enterprise might have been a free one. I like Yesterday's.
I hope it was.
Yesterday's Enterprise rules, but because we were talking about. Do you remember that really horrible Doctor Who episode we watched? With the guy with the Arby's in his spaceship?
Oh.
The Arby's in his spaceship.
Wait, which doctor is this?
It is Colin Baker, and
Okay.
there's this guy, and he was like,
We were just making fun. Like, we were discussing how he was the only guy on the ship and that he had an Arby's and he ran
he was
the
like,
Arby's.
he wasn't the villain of the episode, but he was like the threat.
Yeah.
Like he was going to like attack, or like they were like this faction that were kind of the story takes place where they are. They're might go to war with faction B or something like that, and that's sort of like the conflict or whatever. And like this guy, the only time you ever saw was like this shitty puppet on the TV screen. He talked like this. And I remember there was this one where they were like, "Oh, please give us more time," and he was like, "Then it is war." So we determined that it was just him on this giant spaceship, and he was trying to like make friends because he was so lonely, and he was like,
Yeah, because we have an Arby's. Yeah, we were talking about how he was going to give him Arby's coupons.
But hell, the only Arby's in that part of the universe was on his spaceship.
It is war.
Do you remember
Like
like
Eves, dude.
There's some great. I need to watch more of
Eves.
Doctor Who because you would like
Doctor
Doctor
Who-
Who because it's bad shit.
I've played
Some
Doctor.
of it
I've
is.
Ah,
played
you've
it.
played Doctor Who.
I've watched Doctor Who is the UK Star Trek,
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
and it is amazing.
But it's like Voyager. Like most of it is just bad shit. Like
Like
we
the
watched
old stuff is.
Yeah.
Some of the newer stuff's a lot more like Star Trek, where they're trying to take it seriously, but
Yes.
also still have
But
batshit crazy.
Old
Who
Who is crazy.
I need to watch it
Do
then.
you remember that one episode where like it was like somebody was turning people into trees?
What?
It was another Colin Baker episode.
Yeah,
He was this-
I believe I've seen that one.
Dude, yeah, like that was something would like grab people and turn them into trees. And then do you remember at the end they had dinosaur eggs in the ship, but it was going back through time, so we were like excited because we thought there were going to be dinosaurs in it. And they had some shitty dinosaur puppets, but that was it. And then we were pissed because there were no dinosaurs in this random tree fucking episode. This is the one where Tom Baker fights a mummy.